Maybe live.
Maybe live. If y'all are on here, I'm just trying to look at this so I can get the link to put out there to people. Otherwise, we out here.
All right, that should be it. Can you hear are you looking on your YouTube?
I'm
here. Let me get it. I got
I thought you probably would have it already.
I got it.
So
you're live now. You are on YouTube.
Now. Hello, YouTuber peoples. I don't know if there's anybody on here yet, but we are back in studio here at the Parkway Automotive Studios. Myself and Mr. Isaac Stackhouse.
What to do?
The Daily Stack, or mostly Blind Lincoln Productions at this point. It sounds like, I'm not sure. They're all different, but you're all one.
There's a bunch of layers, but it's all one.
Yeah.
There's Blind Lincoln Productions, which is my media, and then there's the Daily Stack, which is like my MMA journey.
I see, and I kind of conflate them all into one thing because it's what they are to me. Yeah.
It's all me.
So it's just funny. Yeah. It's just,
Yeah. So
it's interesting.
We just got back from North Alabama, Decatur. I'm getting you the link.
Yeah. We just got back from the PGF. As soon as that link comes through, I'll probably stop talking and let you talk a little bit. We did the PGF. Isaac was with me the whole time. Basically, literally the whole time, except for when I got him to leave and let me take naps, or he went to go do some stuff that I really wasn't interested in going to do or whatever. And it was an experience, man. One like I've never had. I don't think I've ever done anything that's like this was, because it was so condensed. But
so for the people that don't know, like, what was the PGF? Like, you got hit up by Brandon.
Oh, okay.
How long
so
ago?
Brandon McCatherine has a league that he's created that's called the PGF, Professional Grappling Federation, and they have went through one season already. The one season is we're in the inception. You didn't mute it before you opened, so we're like a show inside a show. Oh crap. All right, we're doing this stuff now. I'm about to tell everybody that we're live now.
So Brandon hit you up, and some of the stuff that I saw in this editing, the behind the scenes, some of the conversations I caught with y'all was like, a lot of people may not be aware that are viewing this, that view the PGF, which season 2 comes out March 5th, and that's what we're kind of building up to. But the people may not know, like, what were you walking around at when they hit you up for this 225 tournament?
Yeah, it was more like like I may have hit him up more than he was hitting me up in the beginning a little bit, to be honest. So I don't want to act like I was in such a high demand or whatever. But we talked about it a few times because during the last season, that's what I was saying, he has the league. I thought it was really interesting the way it played out. He's trying to make it be more like a real professional league that's not just who's the number one grappler or whatever. It's a specific thing to where the fans can get involved, and it incentivizes chokes over breaks, different things like that. So, if you're just like a leg locker, you may not end up, or if you're just good at like arm bars and stuff, you may not end up as high ranked as someone who's really good at chokes. And so there's a lot of different, like, it makes it a game of jiu-jitsu. Like, it's a different kind of competition that has jiu-jitsu involved in it. And so I thought it was really just interesting because I like to do stuff like that. If anybody's been following me too long, you know that I've, done lots of weird styled competitions of sorts, I guess I would say. Even considering MMA to some people is a very wild pursuit, for a sport. But I did MMA. I've done the pilot show for X-Arm, the extreme arm wrestling stuff where the guys are like punching and kicking each other and arm wrestling at the same time. I did the pilot for that. It was crazy.
How did that go? How did because I kind of want you to retell. Do you want to retell that story? I don't know if I had a camera on you when you told that story. So
I'm not sure. I mean, I can retell the story, but it was when I was first at the school training for MMA years ago, and the guys that first created the UFC, or one of the guys, Art Davey, was trying to come up with another version of the next, like, not skeptical, but what was that? I don't know.
Skeptical, like
Not
the next
skeptical.
version of
Spectacle. Jesus.
Oh, wow.
Spectacle. I was like, why did I say skeptical? The next spectacle that he could come up with or whatever. And one that he came up with was maybe getting guys to arm wrestle each other while they were fighting with MMA rules and stuff. So, yeah, they were in contact with the school I was at, and my head coach was friends with the promoter and stuff that want to put it on. They offered us, I think, $500 or something like that for the weekend to come in and do some fights with guys from other gyms or whatever that were coming in to try to figure out what was even possible to do, and then what rules, what rules could be done even, or what's even like, can you kick somebody over a table while you're arm wrestling? Like, what kind of punches, or can you throw elbows? You know, how do you keep, so there's a bunch of stuff like that. And so if you see the videos online, I wasn't in any of the professional versions of it. We were like the first people that did the proof of concept video or whatever, the pilot videos. And so I don't know if those exist, but like there are guys that were getting their heads split by like head kicks over the table. My buddy Chris.
That's ridiculous.
My buddy Chris Crosby, he was a Muay Thai guy, and he would just kick this guy over the table and like split his forehead. This guy was like a coach for another team. So it was, it was just crazy. He just kicked him right, just like whack, and it was like, oh wow, okay, you can do that. And they were like, yeah, you can do that. And I was like, okay, you can do that.
As the rules are being made up as you go, basically.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Like I was fighting this one guy, and he scared me with what he was saying, like about his abilities. So when we started arm wrestling, I just started punching his arm that we were arm wrestling, like his arm wrestling, and it broke his shoulder in some way. So he was out, and I think they made it illegal to attack that guy's shoulder, or at least to hide myself in the way that I was when I was like punching the guy's shoulder and stuff.
So needless to say, you're no stranger to a wild aspect
I'm
of
down.
competition.
I'm pretty down, man. I'm getting more tame in my older days, I would say, for sure.
Older days.
This is just jiu-jitsu, and it's just submission only jiu-jitsu, so I can tap if things get crazy. There's a referee and people around me that'll save me from getting too bad hurt. So yeah, I'm not doing any more X arms or MMA fights either. I'm really past a lot of those risky parts of my existence, I feel like. But I feel like this being jiu-jitsu and submission only, 6-minute matches, I thought I could do that. I knew it was going to be a lot to get through because we weren't for sure how the format was going to be until we got there. It ended up being 16 dudes total. We all ended up competing against each other, so everyone got to go with everyone else that was there for a 6-minute match, submission only. 6 points if you can get a choke, 3 points if you can get a break, 1 extra point if you can get a point in the submission in the first minute. There's team incentives, so we got split into teams, and so it incentivized certain blocks. So there's certain blocks that were really intense for teams to go against, and if your team scored more points overall, then you got an extra team point. So there's lots of like stuff that went into it besides just being the best grappler, I guess I would say, and it made it something more than what anything else I've ever been a part of, especially for jiu-jitsu and stuff, is. I guess it's sort of like what an Ultimate Fighter could have been like, but again, it's like everybody went against everybody. There was no, well, you lost, man, so you don't have to worry anymore. It was like, you lost, man, you're up in 20 minutes.
You got to get beat up again.
You lost again, you're up in 20 minutes. Or, hey, you're on a roll, you get to keep going. Or, it was just like, there was
What was your initial thoughts when y'all first came into this? Like, did it live up to the expectations of your thoughts, or did it like just change?
So when we first came in, I agreed and wanted to do the part where we were going to do the 8 or 9 weeks extended every Friday night, showing up every Friday night and doing 3 matches at a time like that. And I think I'm more glad now that I didn't do it that way, because that would be a really slow burn and it would make everything stressful for a long time. With this way, we did it more compact, which made it stressful for a shorter time, but maybe more stressful overall a little bit, but still better in that way, because it ended faster without so much stretching it out and making it, just so grueling. And there was nobody really dropped out.
That's the weight cut was the thing that I was worried about for you. Was like I was like having to do that repeatedly like that for 10 weeks was.
I wouldn't have had to do it like that though.
It would have been different. Is how you would have done it.
That was my plan. That's what I'm saying. Is that was why I needed to do like the 2 or 3 pounds the last day. It's because I was gonna make it the one time and then maintain.
You were dieting down.
Yeah, I was just eating healthy, and I'm just doing it again now. I took a week or so, I guess, while I was there and wasn't on my meal plan and stuff, because we were living in a hotel.
Chili's.
Ate Chili's and like just other crap.
Bro, I haven't been to a Chili's until then in forever.
It's been a while. Thomas likes to go to Chili's and stuff or whatever. I think that's where they let you play with the little game thing.
Oh, okay.
One of those, or Applebee's. I think whatever. Sorry.
Shout out to the Elkins brothers. Though. Yeah. They really love them some Chili's.
They hooked it up, man. It was cool. But so I really wasn't on the plan there. So I wasn't eating appropriately and stuff. Mm-hmm. But now that we're back home, I'm getting back on the routine and stuff. Because I want to stay healthy, and I need to stay healthy for more than just competition. I need to do it for life, because that's the point. That's the point of all of it. And so, yeah, I wasn't really worried about that part. I was more worried about making it 13 or 8 weeks or whatever and being able to sustain. But then, like I said, going in, I thought, oh, crap, 15 matches in 5 days. I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to make it through that healthy either, because these guys are tough, and I'm not sure if I fight really hard all the time, or, like some of the way I felt after a lot of matches before, I don't know. So I really approached it with a lot of caution, but with a lot of optimism too, because I felt good, like beyond normal aches and pains, which for I guess some people might be pretty extreme. But for myself, I felt pretty good the whole week. In spite of anything else that was happening, I always was able to kind of rebound or stay.
What was the most physically taxing thing that you felt during the week?
Just having to wake up every day and do it again and be on.
Like, what was your first thought when your eyes opened? Damn, Isaac's still in the room.
I guess I would just try to figure out what time it was, and then I would start trying to plot how much time I had the rest of the day to do whatever we needed to do, or if I was gonna do anything in any of that free time, quote, that we had, because I didn't really feel like I had free time that much. Like we weren't doing a lot necessarily, but I was recovering almost all the time when I was there, or sleeping, or we were
it's like that weird
or,
fight day feeling.
It was every day though, and that's what I mean. Is like that's what was weird about the whole thing. Is like I had to wake up every morning and think, okay, today's fight day, and then at the end of the night, it was like, okay, you got to go chill and get ready to wake up tomorrow because tomorrow's fight day. And it's like, but tonight was fight night, and it's like, but that doesn't matter because tomorrow is a harder day. And it's like, no, but tonight was a hard night, and it's like, yeah, but tomorrow is actually harder. But that's not possible. But every day eventually was harder for everybody in a lot of ways. No matter how your order stacked up or whatever and stuff like that, because you got to go with everybody. So it eventually sort of balanced itself out.
Cool. So as far as it started building up and you came in, so you made weight. I've made it through our first 2 days on editing. Like that's okay. I've watched our first 2 days.
I felt like that was really simple. We just went in there and I just sweated a little bit and warmed up. Basically, did a little bit of time on a treadmill, which would be normally what I may do to warm up anyway. Kind of a little jogging, a little circling, stuff like that. Nothing, like I said, nothing crazy. Hot bath, literally nothing, So when we got there to weigh in, it was pretty simple. Made the weight, was able to just drink some water. And then, like, I had eaten all day on the way. That's what I was saying. Like, that's the only reason I had to, quote, cut weight is because I was eating and drinking all day on the way up there.
Because you were comfortable, basically.
Yeah. I knew that I was right there at it, and I was like, if I stay comfortable and hydrated and fed with my normal amount of stuff, by the time I get there, I can do a small workout and sweat out 2 or 3 pounds. Like it was literally nothing. So that's what I mean. So there was no recovery from that. It was just like,
you looked pretty fresh all week.
I felt fine. I really did, and I was surprised, and that's what I mean. I thought that it was going to be worse on me, but I did feel it when I got home, like about halfway.
That's you text me. When did that happen?
It was about halfway home. I'm not sure, but it just got really heavy. Everything just felt heavy. My arms were heavy. My head was heavy. I was tired. Felt groggy. I just wanted to take a nap again. But I'm not sure. It just felt like my back was hurting again, which it was. Not that it wasn't hurting a little bit all week, but it was, like a really like achy, like, shoot, I'm glad that I don't have to compete today. And so that's what I meant. Like, it was weird because I think I was able to stay on for those 6 days somehow. And then somehow my body realized, I guess, once I left Decatur, it was like, oh, okay, you're trying to go home now. It's time to like dump all this stuff on you at one time. And I was just like, wait, whoa. I don't need to handle all that right now. I got like other stuff I'm trying to do, And so it was just really heavy because it was a big experience in a bunch of different ways. Competition wise, it is what it is. There's competition, for where you compete and it's hard, but it's fun, and I love that aspect of jiu-jitsu, and I love that aspect of life. I like to compete. I like to play games. Stuff like that, that stuff's fun to me. So that was really fun. But then once we got there, I realized that, oh shoot, I'm actually like the oldest dude here. And by some of those guys a lot,
You were very much elder of most everyone there.
And that was weird to me.
Really?
That took some adjusting. Yeah, it did. It did. And not that I didn't expect that maybe, but just how much I think was kind of a little bit surprising to me because I didn't expect to play such a role as that guy. I don't know. We talked about it a lot when I was there. It was like a weird thing. At this point, I've done a lot of stuff, I guess, and people directly quoted their coaches telling them what my game was, and so I was like, oh, okay. I mean, yeah, I guess y'all know what's up then.
Yeah.
And that's weird because I still don't expect people to know what's up with me. But then when people that I think are really good tell me what they think, I'm like, oh, well, that's cool, man. I really appreciate that. But I still didn't know for sure how that all plays out until you get around people face to face and, over the course of 6 days, are people being fake? Are people being real? You can find out who people are in that amount of time, just being around them a lot. And I think what was really cool is that everybody did a good job, like playing their part, whoever they were. Nobody was like a bad actor or whatever. Like, I don't want to spoil any parts of the show or whatever.
Yeah, no.
But there was nothing like malicious done, I don't feel, at any point by anyone. So it was like, it was cool. Everybody was like there to compete hard. They wanted to win. Everybody wanted to win every match, I think. I don't think anybody didn't go into every match thinking, I'm going to do my best, But it was a game. So there was things that you had to think about strategy-wise because you had other matches. And so,
Had you thought about that before going in, or were you just thinking about this like how you had normally thought about jiu-jitsu? Or
I did
competition in
obviously
general?
a little bit. I thought about that. We talked about the attrition factor and how that would play out over the course of the week. But you can't tell based on stuff until the order comes out, and then however the order falls can really affect the way things are going down. And so it seems like they're going to break it out into chunks with the 15 matches over 8 weeks. There'll be one episode that has like the intros and then the first match that everyone had, that the block 1. And then after that, there'll be basically 2 blocks on each show for the rest of the time. And so that it's going to play out on TV a little bit different than it does in my mind, because it's going to be, it is what it is, and that's okay. But it's going to be funny to see that play out that way, because everything kind of is condensed in a way that it won't be on the show, because that's going to be 8 weeks, and we did it in 6 days.
Yeah.
So it's just funny. And at the end of it, we're talking, and you don't know what everybody else has said the whole time. You don't know what they felt exactly besides what we've said to each other or stuff like that, So I think it's going to be cool to see the stories that were playing around things I wasn't aware of even, or that I didn't think about. Because I was really caught up in myself the whole time. Yeah, I had to. I had to be. I was competing 3 times a day, or 15 matches in 6 nights. So, yeah, I had to be really, really, really concerned about myself and my safety and my health day to day, because those guys were coming, dude. Every dude there, no matter what level you thought he was at coming in, their levels changed as the week went on, and everybody was still trending up by the end of the week. Nobody was going down by the end of the week, and I expected that to happen. I expected there to be a lot of people that were just getting punished and broke, but that it really seemed like guys were coming more strong. Like at the end of the week, I was like, oh, I think I could do this better if we did it again right now, honestly. But I'm glad we didn't. So it was a great experience. I still can't unpack everything yet because I can't talk about it enough. And that's the way I do my whatever. My process is to talk it out, and I'll hear things and I'm like, oh, I don't think that sounds right. So some of the things I've said that are going to be on the interviews, or some of the clips that may exist or whatever, like those are going to be real feelings that I had in the moment. A lot of times, like we were doing a lot of playing around and stuff and stuff like that. So it's going to be fun, but a lot of the reflections and stuff are going to be real in that moment. But I was talking about some, that's why I wanted to do some of those interviews right after we got done some days, because I wanted it to reflect the real emotion of the night, instead of I went back and slept and then did interviews the next day and stuff like that. So I'm interested to even see some of the things that I may have said and how what I thought changed day to day strategy wise, but how things, I don't even know. Like I really forgot in a couple of days. I was like, what matches are we doing? Oh wait, oh crap, there's still 9 more matches to go. Oh, I thought we were about done.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, I felt like the hard part was over, and it was like, no, you're not even halfway. And it was like, oh, okay. So here we go. And I think about day 3 is when people really dug in. I think day 1, everybody was friends, and we competed hard, and everybody went hard and tried to win. But I think that we didn't understand the gravity of the game yet. Nobody was in the money hunt yet. And so by the end of day 3 or beginning of day 3, some people had won and lost some matches, and it was starting to kind of look like people were doing certain things.
Because this was real money too. I mean,
it was actual cash.
Yeah, this was $2,000.
$2,000 to the winner, $1,000 to the second place, and $500 and $500 to third and fourth.
That's nothing to shake a stick at. Like that's real money on 7 days work.
Especially the top 2 prizes, but at least bringing home one of those other 2 would be very nice and would be cool to have to show, at least as a token, of the work, that you put into it. But, not everybody got into that. So it is what it is. Everybody there was, like I said, they were live. There were some really good grapplers. So I think some guys that thought they were going to get into the money didn't.
Yeah.
And I think some people that didn't think they were going to get into the money maybe did. And
just off the point system.
Just the way that it played out. If you went to the combine, you got an extra 2 points.
Turned out that mattered.
It turns out the 2 points may have been a lot of points sometimes. And then that's the team aspect of it, and doing, cause submitting people in under a minute. If you had a style that was played into that, then maybe you could score an extra point than other people could. It's so interesting to see it, and I want to hear everybody else's perspective on it once this kind of played out again too, on the videos, because each person had some moments. There's not. That's what I mean. It's like there's stuff that's really interesting about every person that came and competed. Every guy's unique, but similar because they all had real passion for what we were doing and came to really play the game, like, and compete to win. And I loved that. I loved that everybody was like hugs and pats on the backs and jokes and everything. But then you could always feel the mood turn about 30 minutes before it was time to start competing. Everybody started getting their own space and warming up. At least for myself, that's what I did, because I realized I needed to separate myself from the friend zone into the competitor zone with everybody, because I like those guys. I ended up really liking almost everybody there a lot more than I did before I got there. Some of them I already liked a lot, so it was not a thing. But guys I didn't know before I got there ended up being like, oh, he's actually pretty cool, man. I like that guy.
He's a neat guy.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Like, everybody that was there, I was like, actually, once I got to know him a little bit, I was like, oh, he's actually cool, you know? But you wouldn't know that if you just saw them on their social media or at a local tournament or something like that. Because there are guys that were blue belts in this tournament. Like, why am I competing against blue belts? What do I have to win competing against blue belts? Well, they were in the thing, so I had to go against them. I couldn't worry about if they were a blue belt or not. What I needed to worry about was submitting them and trying to score points, like trying to get chokes if I could, or just taking the breaks if it was there in the first minute. Like, I had to do what this new game required of me to do. So if they were a blue belt, maybe that was the time to strategize out more points, or maybe not. You know, it's like, it's so funny. And again, it's so hard. It's so hard. I can't wait for March the 5th so the first one drops, so I'll know how much story I can start talking about.
Yeah.
Because literally, I think after the first day, there's going to be so much stuff you can start referencing that was important for each individual person on day one. Match one.
Stuff starts unfolding, like, from the moment y'all walk in the door.
Match two. Oh, from match one to match two, things really changed. And then from 2 to 3, it was like, you know, I think now that I've thought about them individually, as much as I don't remember, but I remember the matches I have, so I know the outcomes of the matches I have. So it's funny, for at least from my individual arc, the way that every match went. And so everybody has that same arc of how each individual match went over the course of the week, but everybody has a match with everybody.
Nobody gets to hide.
So it shakes out. That's what I mean. So everybody has to go against the same. So blue belts had to go against the blue belts. The black belts went against the black belts. The brown belts and purples went against the black belts and blue belts. And so, like, literally everybody went against each other. And it was such a crazy thing. Like, I've never been in a situation that was like that. You likened it to a big open mat.
I was fixing. I was fixing to go that direction just a little bit, because it was like a giant open mat all week.
It was interesting, and I guess I could see that perspective of it, because, you know, you always knew there was somebody else coming, but at a certain point we had a schedule.
Yeah. It's like your coach is sitting off to the side, like when you were like, this would happen to me as a blue belt. They start calling out people for you to roll with, and you're like, God, I don't roll with that guy. I'm tired.
Right.
Well,
some days
tough. He's next.
Some days you would rather have another guy than the guy you had that day. Or in the order, can I switch the order up? And it's like, no, you can't. You have no control over this now. And it's like, well, crap.
Why do I get the easy guy after the hard guy?
I don't like my order. Can I switch my order? And it's like, no. So it's going to be that. Like, that's what I want to think about too now, is a little bit of how they're going to put the matches down, where it was like one match and then there's going to be 2-2-2-2 instead of the blocks. But everybody's got to look out for block 12. I just think block 12 is going to be crazy.
Block 12.
Block 12 is going to be intense. If you're going to be there, you need to be there for whatever episode is going to have block 12 on it. I think there's gonna be some shirts made about that. It's intense. The whole thing's intense, man. And I guess we need to stop kind of talking about it, because I'm gonna give up some stuff that's out of the
no,
bag.
you're nowhere near giving up anything. I'm guiding you. It's like herding cats. But like, one of my big questions for you is gonna be like, So like let's guide you onto a path.
Okay. Yeah. Keep me from straying here because I'm down.
We don't want you giving away the top secret stuff as Brandon put it. But what was the biggest like? There were a lot of lessons that I think I saw you take away, but like, what was one of the bigger lessons that's not really necessarily directly grappling related? Like, it's not directly related to your grappling, but what was that big takeaway on that?
Man, I think honestly the one, and I think I actually commented about this before, but I've been familiar with Lonnie Jones, who we went to and did some of my like team building exercises and stuff with. I've been familiar with him through some other stuff that Brandon's done and that Lonnie's been on, like podcasts and stuff. And
you mentioned that you listened to his podcast.
I've started listening to his podcast just prior, shortly before the PGF a little bit. And going there and doing some of those team building things, those were really, really interesting to me because like a lot of times, and we talked about this too, some of those can turn out to be really lame. And nobody like plays,
right?
Or it doesn't really make it interesting in any way.
Everybody seemed to participate.
Everybody seemed to play their part. I didn't really think about it as much in the moment how like profound some of the stuff was, because I was thinking about the matches that night. I was thinking about how I wasn't going to get hurt or tired or worn down doing stuff, and wanted to get to my matches so I could get done. I wasn't really thinking about. I wasn't thinking about much else. To be honest with you, I was in such a crazy headspace. That's what I mean. Like when I left, I think that's when I finally got out of that weird headspace of where I was just in competition mode the whole time, and then I finally was just like, wait, what? I'm another person. I'm not the same guy.
Because that's what we were just. I was trying to guide you down this path because we were talking about that when you walked in the door of that feeling.
Right. And so like I think what I've been doing, and not to just, say whatever, but like the guy that Lonnie is or something, he had a lot of like really great wisdom, a little good tips about very common things that guys were saying about the games. Like people were just throwing out stuff. Sometimes he would ask, what do you think about this? And people would just say what they thought. And then he had this really, some of it was really cool. I wish, and I want to see it again. I want to watch it again. So
the episodes will come out. Like, yeah.
I want to see that stuff play out again because I learned a lot in retrospect of once the game played itself out. And then sometimes once you and I were talking after about some of the stuff, and then some of the later in the season, some of the stuff in the game made a lot more sense to me about people. Like, that's what I mean. To me, this turned into more of like a human exercise than a jiu-jitsu exercise. I was people watching. I was doing like
that was my question.
A psychology study as much as I was doing like a physical study of what everybody was like. Everybody was good. Everybody was tough. Like there was no doubt that the guy that you were going to go against was going to give his best. So it was a matter of the psychology of everything and how did everybody approach every day? How did they approach this match? What's their attitude on this? What's your approach to beating this guy? Oh, I like the way he did that. Maybe I'm going to try that when it's my, and then hearing what someone that may have been through a lot more experience than I have, even though I was, quote, the experienced guy at this thing, being around someone like Lonnie and Brandon, listening to those guys drop just knowledge bombs it's still good for me because I still love being a student. I don't always want to be the smartest guy in the room. I do like to know things. I do like to be like in the flow of what's going on or whatever, but I do like for someone to sit there and drop knowledge on me too. And I feel like that was the coolest day if I had to pick a single day. In retrospect, that was the coolest day of all of it.
That's interesting too, because they'll have to watch the episode because I don't know how much of our call, but that morning didn't start off as the best day.
Bruh, it was not good, man.
It wasn't going well.
We couldn't find the place. Like the address was not good. Our GPSs weren't.
Address or Apple Maps?
Apple Maps, Waze. We did Google Maps one time. And I was circling. Yeah. It was a hustle. Like I said, we had to wake up. We had to wake up early to go to it and get it done. So for me, it was a great, in retrospect, it was a good show of how things are and why you need to just kind of slow down and just kind of go with things. And then if you can do that, you can get something from it, whatever it is, because that we heard ropes course.
Right.
And so it wasn't even that in any kind of way.
I think a couple guys did one of those big swings.
And then you saw the thing in the promo. So I guess we could talk about the spider web kind of thing.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, like you can see it in the promo.
That's the only rope thing that was kind of like involved in it or whatever. So it was like I thought we were going to do some kind of perilous stuff.
You thought there was going to be a video out there on the internet.
I'm just like tight roping or whatever with like this like zip line thing. And it's like, man, I ain't doing that. I got to grapple these beasts later on. I'm not trying to like twist my ankle on some kind of balance beam course or something like that, but it wasn't like that at all. And so that's what I mean. So I'm glad I went. I'm glad I was able to be a part of that, because if I missed that, I would have missed the most important part of the whole thing, I feel like.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And I wonder what other guys think about that day too. Because I know some other guys got a lot from it, based on personal conversations. But for me, I really do think that of the single days, that may have been the best like single day thing that we did overall, for sure.
It's going to be some fascinating content.
I want to hear it back, but again, I want to hear it back because I just remember my personal feelings on what happened after things happened. But I'd like to see how they played out in real time, also from a pulled back kind of viewpoint of not my eyes looking at everything, but like, what is it? What do I look like as part of this picture? Also, it's so interesting to me. That's what I mean. The psychology of everything was, I think, more of what I ended up being interested in than everything else. I wanted to win so bad, so I competed with everybody, the best and hardest, and it's going to be cool. When it got, you know what I mean?
I think it was really good.
I don't want to say too much.
Yeah. I think everybody fought real hard. I think that the game aspect was really fascinating.
That's what I mean. Like,
yeah,
it doesn't matter about winning and losing per se. So I'm not giving away anything at all.
No,
but
yeah.
The way that you had to score on certain people at certain times because of the way that the scoring works. That's what's going to make the show and the competition side different than just two guys rolling for the first tap. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's what makes it different than like an open mat kind of situation. You don't get to do it over either. Like
right.
if it was over, it was over. If they got you in less than a minute, then you just got dunked on basically, and it didn't matter if you can normally beat them or should have beat them or whatever happened. If you lost, and you had to move on. And if it was the last match of the day, you had to move into that night carrying that. But if it was the first one, then maybe you could rise up and turn up 2 good wins, you know what I mean, or whatever. Some guys, I don't know, maybe some guys lost every match some nights. I can't remember.
I think that it was more of the you kept using attrition, like it was a war of attrition. That was something that kept coming into play.
I thought about that so much because it was what it was. It was like everybody was going hard every match, and even if you thought that they may be limited in some way from the competition, that was not going to be the case because everybody was smart. That nobody was just throwing themselves away. Everybody was doing the right stuff. I feel like we all did really good. And again, I think everybody was actually getting better by the last day rather than kind of getting worse. I think if it played out again, you would see maybe even better matches than the ones that you saw in some ways.
Yeah. I think y'all were also building it off of a model of like no one's ever really competed like this. So you weren't like, there was this time that like Marcelo Garcia did it this way.
Yeah,
like you didn't have those examples.
Yeah, there was no rhyme or reason to the way to play it. There was no definite way to do any of it except for to try to smash or finesse guys or whatever your way kind of is. And so you're gonna see a lot of that. You're gonna see Division I wrestlers. I think there's 2 of them. And then the other guys that are good, tough wrestlers. There's black belts down to blue belts. I think the youngest guy is probably 20. I'll be 38 in March, so I'm 37. So I'm the oldest. at 37 to 20. So there's a 17-year gap, and then all the belts besides white represented. So it's stupid. Like, it's the dumbest thing ever, but it's so cool. It's so cool. Like, it doesn't make any sense why you would come and do this kind of grappling event, except for that it's so much fun. And Brandon took care of us. Team mom, Sierra, hooked it up, making sure everybody had clean clothes and stuff if you needed your clothes cleaned, or they were bringing people food. And, you know, it was really well taken care of for us. And I felt really grateful and thankful to have been able to be a part of it, because I think it should be a big deal. Not even saying myself or because I'm in it, but like, this season hopefully will be something that'll get some other people interested and want to be involved in it, to make season 3 better and 4 better and 5 better. And then, like we talked about, maybe like at season 10 or whatever, you know, what will it look like by then, where all these things have kind of played out several times by different weight classes. Like, we know the percentage of submissions that worked for the 225-pound class, and then for the 200-pound class now. And then what about for the 145 guys? What's the most popular submission in that one? Is it the same one? Is it a whole different, like, set of, like, that's what, like, do we do a ladies PGF one season? How does that one look different? It's like, there's so many things that are cool about this that's not just tapping somebody out. It's not just rolling for a tap.
It's almost like the artistic side of it gets
It
to
is.
start to
It's
expose
art.
itself.
It's art, and it prioritizes kills over breaks in a way that's maybe a little gruesome, but in a realist way, you can get behind. Because like, it's final. Chokes are final. It scores more. Breaks, a guy can keep fighting with a broken arm of sorts, or leg of sorts, or ankle in different ways, and break your leg too if we're in that kind of situation. But if you choke someone, they will sleep, and you can kill them.
Like, a dead man don't argue.
Right. There's no question about that. So I got that, and I thought that was really cool. So I think it's cool. So, dude, thanks to everybody on my team here at 10 Planet Perry. My wife, Mandy, first, I guess, and foremost, for taking care of the house and the family and all that stuff. You the best. And the business while I was gone. But my students and my team and the other coaches and guys that were helping run classes and stuff while I was gone. Thank you to you guys. Obviously, couldn't have done it without you. One thing I did want to kind of mention, and I've mentioned it to our students, but I did want to kind of, as a whole, say this too, because it's part of the whole thing to me. We did this with my team at 10th Planet Perry. I didn't cross-train. I didn't bring in anyone. There was no, like, outside stuff going on. I really just trained with my team, and we got ready for this thing together, our way, the way that we do it, and the results are going to speak for themselves. And I'm really proud of the results. I'm really proud of the way things are going here, and I'm proud of the team and the guys that we have and the girls that we have and the stuff that's going on here, because that is what the motivation kind of kept being for the whole thing, was like the philosophy, proving, the way. And the way is like, I am what I say, and what we do is what it is. And it reflects clearly, I feel like, in what the PGF was. And so I'm really, really proud of that aspect, that we did it as a team with my guys, with my people. And the philosophy that we developed is what I used. Obviously I've learned a lot of stuff. And so thankful to my coaches, Boogie, obviously, everybody before, Brandon for the advice he's had, Gabe, everybody that's ever helped me, obviously thank them too. But like, for this one competition, I have not been anywhere to cross-train. I have not done anything else. And so I'm really proud of that fact that I used our guys and we did it in a way that was.
What would you say that philosophy is now that you've, in retrospect, you can go off on that and not really reveal anything?
It's jiu-jitsu, dude. It's jiu-jitsu. It's not wrestling. It's not MMA. It's not Vale Tudo. It's jiu-jitsu. And that may be whatever like the ancient kind of way of jiu-jitsu is, but it's my understanding and my interpretation of what jiu-jitsu is or should maybe be. It's not always just about brute force and brute strength and stuff like that, because you can't always be the toughest or the strongest or the most athletic or the best prepared or the youngest or, the most experienced. Like, there's going to often be times that you can't be any of those things, much less one of them during competition or in life and stuff like that. So it's more of like a big time kind of philosophy thing, and it's hard to put down into one syllable almost, or one sentence. It's like, but the way is the way. It's jiu-jitsu. It's the gentle art. It's the yielding art. It's not gentle in a way that doesn't mean it can't hurt you.
Or be aggressive.
Or
smish.
When the time calls for it. But it does mean that you can yield to outside force and use outside forces to your advantage, even if those forces were sent to you in a negative way. You can redirect things that people are throwing at you very hard and very aggressive, and redirect that stuff and make it something that's positive for you. So no matter what the results people say or think or anything about the jiu-jitsu matches and things like that, I don't care about that stuff anymore, because of the way that I've came up through my jiu-jitsu and through MMA, but mostly now through the jiu-jitsu philosophy of it all. Like, I don't have to hurt you to win, but I will if I have to. And it's the joke I kind of make all the time about, I only do this as hard as I have to. Is I will only put this much pressure on you if you make me. If you let me win, or you let me tap you, or whatever. And it's a joke, obviously, ha, 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 we're competing. You're not going to let me do any of that stuff. But I'm honestly only using the amount of pressure and speed and everything that I need to win the easiest way. And sometimes the easiest way takes a lot of force and strength and effort. Sometimes you can't just be laying around and waiting and expecting to win. Sometimes you got to go hard. But sometimes, all that stuff isn't true. And you need to know when you do what. When is what important. When is something worth fighting hard for? When is something worth not worrying about fighting hard for?
Where did you find that?
Where did I find it as a whole?
Like where did you find the where that limit is?
I don't think I have.
And
I think that's what I express all the time to everyone. I don't know if anyone ever does. I don't think there is a perfect way to do anything. I think there's just ways. I think your way works and my way works. My way probably works better for me. Your way probably works better for you. We could probably get together and make it better for each other somehow. You know what I mean? Technically, or whatever we're working on, or, problems you have. That's what I mean. It's like an overall philosophy. It's not just grappling, but it is grappling, but that's just the vehicle for self-expression. And, for me, self-expression is that I don't have to be super rough and tough and violent to be a man and be hardcore, or to be able to end someone if I need to. I don't have to beat my chest for anyone to think I'm tough or not. That's how I know now that that's not what you need to do a lot of times in order to establish yourself and prove, who you are or whatever. It's not always that stuff. And I think a lot of people still don't know that. And I assume a lot of people know that kind of stuff. But I still think a lot of guys are still hiding, or we all wear masks, and a lot of guys in my situation can hide. I'm older. I'm a black belt. I got a school. I got kids.
You can go sit in your gym.
I can just go hide.
Say that doesn't work.
Yeah, and talk about everybody that's out there doing the work. But I want to go out there and I want to put in some work, and I want to see if what I do is any good, and I want to see if some of these top guys can handle what I do, and I want to see what it feels like to go with some of the best guys in the world. And if they can beat me, then cool. And if not, then cool.
Right.
But I'm here for it. I'm here to take the L, but I'm here to take the W if I can. I don't mind either anymore. And it took me a long time to be that way. And I couldn't be that way for MMA. It's too dangerous.
It's a razor edge.
Yeah. And I think that's why I never found it with MMA. I had to leave that alone because it wasn't what I needed. It got me right up to that edge, but then finally it was like, but actually, this isn't the way. It's still beyond that. And so now that's where I'm at. That's where I'm going. That's why I think that day with Lonnie was so important, because I think that's part of all that whole thing. I think it's time to start, and we talked about it, but it's really time to start spreading that wisdom with other people. What I think is maybe a lack that I had in some ways is actually experience that I had that I can share with someone else that may feel the same way or may be experiencing the same things, or to avoid experiencing some of those same things. Some of the things that I thought weren't good, I can help people not ever just have to see that. You never even have to worry about that being part of your experience, maybe, if you'll listen. There's going to be stuff that I'm not right about. There's going to be stuff I make mistakes about, but I wanted to always know I'm going to share the wisdom that I gained through my own triumphs and faults and defeats and all that stuff with you as a student, anyone, you on YouTube, you in the gym, you at the tournament, you at the grocery store, whatever, I that's who I want to be. That's who I've always wanted to be. And so I think I found it with jiu-jitsu, and I really want to express that.
Jackson Spry has a couple questions.
What's up?
First one was, did you get a corner in the PGF? So
No.
what was that like playing without the corner? Nobody had corners.
No one had a coach. We were all kind of coaching each other from the sideline. So you had to rely on your homies, basically, to tell you what to do or not do, and trust the guys that were there if you didn't really have someone that you thought was the homie in that situation. So yeah, that was actually kind of tough for some people, I think.
Yeah, and it wasn't even the color of the shirt that necessarily influenced the coaching too.
Oh, sorry, I think I pulled myself out. Yeah, I think the color of the shirts, like team members or whatever, sometimes like you're more friends with somebody that was on the other team or whatever, so you wanted to help them get points because you love them. So you coach against your teammate or whatever because that's just whatever. It is what it is, But a lot of times that's how it went. We were kind of coaching the people that were on our same team, or like we were doing that kind of double coach thing where it's like, hey, Isaac, you need to go ahead and get your frames in right here or whatever. And it's like, but Steven, don't let him do that, okay? Because if he gets his frames in, he's going to be able to recover. So we were doing.
I heard a couple of those.
We were trying to be as like neutral as we could because there was nobody that had support in a real way. But some guys were definitely helping each other out because they are teammates. So it was cool to see that part of it too, and who had help and didn't, and who needed and didn't need help, or the help that some people offered people. That was, again, the psychology. It's like, what do you tell someone to do in certain situations? It's like, oh, that's what you think. Okay.
That answered another one of Jackson's questions. Was he was asking how big of a factor did the teams play in your headspace?
Personally,
like, was there more or less pressure knowing that others were relying on you for those points, or did that play?
Personally, it was a lot to me personally because I'm a big team player.
Yeah.
I like to be a team player and stuff, so it really affected me in a way that I wanted everybody on my team to do well, except for that I wanted to smash them all. When it was me against, that's what was weird about it. You know what I mean?
Because you had to throw that switch.
I want y'all to get 6 on everybody but me, and I'm going to dunk on everybody.
I'm going to get 7.
I'm getting 7 on everybody that's right here. I don't care who you are. I love you, okay? It's like, I'm sorry, man. You got to go, man. I got to eat, and you're the one that I got to eat tonight. And it was what it was. No matter what color your shirt was, when it was time to roll, we had to go, and we had to score on each other. And so, yeah. I wanted them to win against everybody else, but I didn't want anyone to beat me, obviously.
That was a fascinating thing to watch you from the side, is to watch kind of the teams play out in a way that, like, some of y'all were homies beforehand.
Yeah, I think I got quiet some nights too.
Yeah.
Like, I think I was sitting there some nights really quiet because I was in my own head about my own stuff. And I was like, man, I can't even really waste any energy trying to convince other people to do stuff tonight because I've got to worry about my own monsters that I got to deal with. I can't worry about somebody else's feelings because if they're low, then I can't feel low because they feel low. I got to be ready to kill. And so I had to really turn off that side of me a couple times because there's guys that I cared about that were in there. Like there's guys that I was friends with that were in there. And so when they were competing, I wanted them to do well. And so you know how that whole thing is where you want your friends and whatever to compete, or if you're cornering someone, you get wrapped up in that whole emotional kind of component of it. And so I really wanted to turn that off a couple times and make sure that I was focused on me and what I needed to do rather than the team and what the team needed to do because the team wasn't going to pay my bills. And so I had to really make sure that I was there for the right reasons and playing the game the right way. So yeah, that was really interesting to have to try to play that fairly and not choose a side a lot of times.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to choose sides a lot of times.
And sometimes it wasn't necessarily what would have been the most popular.
Yeah, and sometimes you just didn't need to because that wasn't fair.
Right.
Because the other guy didn't have that same support. And so fair is not really what you're doing. But honestly, that's, again, I wanted to be fair. I wanted to do it the right way. I wanted to make sure everything was on the up and up and that what we were doing was all above board. And like, we're scoring though. Let's go. Like, let's make sure we're in this game and let's fight. If we have to fight. I think I threatened to slam one guy on the concrete in the match. By the end of it, I don't even know why I said that. I apologized after.
He got a little worried. They'll have to watch the episode to see which one. But like, he was like,
I don't even know who it was.
Man, I'm sorry, but I don't know what he was doing. He's like, oh, you were like, that was just like middle of the competition, man. No problem. It's okay.
My bad, bro. My bad. I can't even remember who it was at this point, but yeah.
Because knowing you as a person, like you're a nice guy, but like competition, Steven.
It was a different thing, and that's what was interesting, and that's what when I came back. Like I was trying to like decompress or debrief or whatever that is from that emotional high or whatever that is from being that guy because that's a different person. You know, it's a different guy. I'm not that person all the time, and I don't think I can be because it's not healthy to try to always be that way. Not for me. I don't like that headspace like that for too long. I don't think it's good for me to be that way. So it's fun. I like it, but I definitely don't like to live there anymore. And I think that's one of the good parts about not fighting anymore. It's like, I don't have to live there all the time. I can live in this kind of happy-go-lucky, everybody's great, Bob Ross kind of artistic space now. Cause I'm not
trees.
Right. Cause I don't have to worry about somebody actually coming in and trying to hurt me too often. But then we just spent 6 days where everybody was trying to hurt me. Where I felt like they were, at least for 6 minutes at a time they were, but then you had to turn it off because then they weren't hurting, you know? So it was a really like, again, it's so interesting to think about it all because you could have a match with somebody and then they have a match with somebody and then that was it. If you had your match with them, it was done. Any like awkwardness, like I could warm up with a guy now. Mentally, I was like, okay, yeah, I can go over here and warm up with him now. But then before my match with anyone, I was like, no, I'm not going to even let him see me like touch anybody.
I saw two guys warming up together that fought each other. I won't say who, but I've got it on video of like two guys that I was like, wait, aren't y'all fixing to fight?
Yeah, that's cool. That's just some people's process.
Hey man, honestly, I saw more jujitsu. I saw more jujitsu play out like as far as like what the philosophical side and like the extending of like knowledge and all that type stuff. I saw that happen so much. That's
what I was telling everybody. Is like I think there were some coachable moments for some guys that really could use it at all different kinds of levels too. It seemed like, and it seemed like everybody was like embracing that opportunity to either coach or be coached when it was their time to learn or or whatever. So again, I'm really hyped up to see what comes out from what they have because I know that everybody was on point and I know that at least we were in small groups practicing our promos every day. It was so much fun, dude. We were just like, it's what I could imagine is like it would be to be a professional wrestler back in the day. So for me, this was like my childhood dream, bro.
Yeah.
I just really like checked off something that I probably dreamed of doing, like just being with the dudes on the road sort of for a week and just competing, just rolling in town to town or whatever, and just doing the work, and just that's it. We villains and heroes right there on the show, and then after it was over, everybody was at Chili's or whatever, just chilling out.
But you're actually trying to kill each other.
But you really wanted to like really do it, and so like, but because we wanted to establish the pecking order.
Yeah.
And like, if you know the history of like real pro wrestling, that's what they were doing to each other too.
Exactly.
They would really compete. They would really compete for those spots. They were really trying to look better and
Receipts
have the better
were real.
stories. Yeah. And so like, whoever had the best promos and stuff like that, they had the most time. So like, it was fun to be in a zone where there were guys that were willing to play that way too. Some guys didn't want to play that, and that was fun. That was okay. But there were some guys that wanted to play the pro game with me. So if people know me, like, I'm all about a good wrestling promo. I'll sit there and I'll go deep with you if you want to, man. We can cut some promos for hours. But it's because that's what keeps me in a good headspace with it. That's what keeps me loose, and that's what made it fun to me instead of being so hardcore. I wasn't like upset with it. I went into it with like those hardcore like wrestler vibes.
Yeah.
Where it's all shtick, but you're really being serious, and you're really you're telling people what you want to do, but that it's just a grappling match and it's not really like a fight or anything like that. So like, we would really talk to each other. It was so much fun, dude. I can't think of another time or another thing that I've done that was actually like that kind of fun.
Yeah.
That was, like, I've had a lot of fun in a lot of places doing a lot of different stuff, but that kind of fun was just so different than something I think I've ever done. And that's why I wanted to do it too. It's like I wanted that experience. That
was the fun thing to watch, and like that kind of parlays into Jackson is over here working for the number one fan with another question.
Get it?
He goes, one aspect that I loved on season 1 was watching competitors grow across across 13 weeks.
For sure.
Do you think that the format presented the same opportunity for growth? Do you think you're going to see the same story arc?
I think it put it on steroids.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it forced you to have to change right now.
Yeah, even if you don't want to.
Yeah, if you don't, you're obsolete before this thing's over. Like it didn't matter.
That's deep.
Yeah. Oh, it was true. Like, you could see it. If some guy, there were multiple people that could have quit at a certain point, and people would have not, like, at least those of us that were in the room would have not been like, oh, he's weak or whack or whatever. We would all been like, man, I get it. You know what I mean? But they didn't. So I think seeing how you had to choose to be day to day, match to match, really, that's where some of the personal growth was for myself. But then watching some other guys have to deal with the way that felt, also, it's really cool. I think you do see a lot of personal growth from a lot of people. But again, I think it condenses it and it forces you to have to do it now. And if you don't do it, you can't just hide behind something else. Like, it would have been exposed right away.
I think some guys almost kind of found themselves during the week. Like, they were kind of shy and not really sure of themselves in the first couple days. And then I think some guys kind of came to as they're going to be good. Some of the guys in there are going to be good coaches.
Yeah, I think that's what I mean. There were all level of people in there, from belt ranks to competitive ranks. And for me, I guess, thankfully, I was one of both the higher ranks in competition and in belts. So I wasn't ever too far out of my depth in any way, which was good for me. But then definitely, the way that some of the guys grew was I called it on a couple of them on the first day or second day. There was a couple of the guys that I was just like, oh yeah, watch this guy, watch this guy. And so it's cool. And for myself, I grew a lot personally. I think my game grew. I think I got a lot of personal growth from it. So again, I'm really interested to see what some of the other guys think was the most important part to them. And then I want to have them on here to talk about what they think about me and our matches and stuff like that too. On some of those weeks, maybe the next day. I'm really excited to kind of get all this kind of content rolling together, so that I can get some finality in my head of it.
That's going to be interesting.
Because again and again and again, it's so cool and it's so interesting and it's so fun. And if I could, I would do it again another time.
Do you have any future competition plans?
Man, I kind of went into this and I said a few times that it was going to be the last like big thing.
Hoorah.
Yeah, it was going to be my last big personal journey kind of deal because I'm ready to kind of, like I said, pass that on. And that's one of the things we talked about. I'm ready to start sharing the time and the space with other people and let them grow into that space themselves and let them represent the things that I've worked on and learned and trying to put that into use their way and seeing how that works. Because so far it looks good. So far I think I've done well with the limited amount of experience I have with this coaching gig and different things like that because I think I've thought about this for a long time. I've wanted this for a long time. I didn't know where it was going to be or how it was going to be or whatever it was going to be specifically. But I've wanted to be this person for a very long time. And so now I think I'm in a space where I can actually do it. I can kind of be who I want to be. I can do what I want to do that makes me happy. And that's also what makes me money. And it's a weird headspace. And
especially when those two cross.
And I'm trying to make sure that I'm focusing on the right things at the right times. That's the hard part, obviously, with everything, though, because it is something that could make you money or make you happy, vice versa, doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do. You got to kind of make sure that you do it. That's another part of the whole thing is like for the family, man, this was a big thing. I was gone for a whole week competing in a way, and like, you know, we got 2 children, a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, and that's a lot for 2 parents, much less one parent that's dealing with that and trying to run a business while the other person's off competing and stuff. It's a lot, you know. So for me,
how did I know that Charlie's a little young, but do you think like how did the kids handle the competition? Do they understand what Dad was off doing?
I don't know for sure if they get it all yet in that way. I think they're still kind of too young. They say they kind of understand, and we're gonna let them watch and stuff like that. And they weren't really around for the MMA stuff. Charlie definitely wasn't really. Thomas was there sort of, but only really fought once or twice time. Yeah, it's not really been a part of his life either. And so I want them to be able to see. I want them to be able to see that side of me some. So that's, you know, I want them to know who I am in that way, and not just let that be some legend or whatever from the past too, because that's, you know, I'm always evolving as a person and as a, you know, whatever, but I still think that that is a big part of who I am. And that's a big part of why I treat them the way I treat them, and the way that they're being raised is based on a lot of the stuff I've learned since I left home on this initial journey 12 or 13 years ago when I had no fucking clue what anything was. I just thought I was going to knock people out with that old country boy right hand.
You didn't start off down this like warrior pathway.
Oh, only to hurt people.
Only like that's what I mean. It's not like the peaceful warrior. I guess is a better way to put it.
Exactly. I've learned to be more refined and peaceful, and it's been a long road to get here, and it's been a lot of, like I say, overcorrecting one way or the other. So sometimes I feel like I'm in the correction path of the too peaceful warrior, and I need to turn that back the other way a little bit. And then sometimes it's like, oh, that was a little too aggressive. You know, so there's always that back and forth rebound. And again, with the kids, man, it's the same. That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's always that same thing, like a ebb and flow of the energy, and what you put into it is what you get back, and the relationships with your people at home or at work or at school or at whatever, you know what I mean? It's all the energy that you put into it that you get back. And so along those lines, man, I'm really trying to focus on the things that I can do that make me happy, the things that I can do that help other people, because especially if it can make me happy and them happy, and it's not that stressful for me, and I can do it and it helps other people, that's really enriching to me as a person. So those are the things that I want to start really working on now. My competition career, anytime I do it, it's selfish. It has to be. I'm very self-centered, and I only worry about myself and what I need and what I want, and how I feel. And I feel very justified by that when it's competition time and stuff like that. But when I'm not in that situation, that's not always fair. I don't think that's not always, I know that that's not always fair. So I don't like having to always, you know, it's hard. That's the hard part about living as a competitor, and also trying to be both things or 2 or 3 things or whatever. I watched this. Mandy showed me this documentary the other day when I got back. She tried to get me to watch it when I was there. Dude, I'm so glad I didn't watch it when I was there. It probably would have messed me up in my headspace or whatever. But In and of Itself, I think it's by Derek Delgadio or whatever. It's on Hulu. And you need to watch it, and I would recommend anyone that has like time to watch it.
Say it again.
In and of Itself.
In and
of Itself.
And of Itself. Okay.
Yes, on Hulu. It's worth it. It's a stage show that he's put into a documentary.
Mandy said, "Don't Google it."
Don't Google it. Yeah, don't Google it. Just watch it. Just watch it.
It's on Hulu. So search it on Google, but search it on Hulu,
Search
but not
it on
Google.
Hulu and just watch it. It's gonna take you like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours at the most. But it's a theater show. He did in a theater, and they put it into this documentary, and it's amazing. And I broke down crying watching it, and it was like, especially after that last week, it really messed with my head in a way that was good for me. And that's the thing, I'm still trying to sort it all out. And so I think that if I'd have seen that there, it would have really messed up the game in a bad way. Because it's so good. So
do you think this kind of evolution is possible without competition? Or do you, I guess you can only base that off your own personal experience.
I guess so. A competition, I think, is important you've got to be competing in some way always, right?
Okay.
For resources or for energy or for whatever. There's always, you got to eat. And so there's some type of competition always for that, at the very least. So I think surviving is competing in a way. And again, we could get lost in the weeds for days on a lot of this kind of stuff. And this is stuff that I kind of been shying away from a lot of times because it makes me feel weird.
Yeah, I get it.
This is the stuff that I think people don't get.
I think more people get it than you would realize.
I'm realizing that. That's what I'm saying. I think more people do get it, and I think the more that people say stuff like that, the more that people understand that they're not the only person that maybe felt that way, or that they don't have to front because, oh, look at this guy, he's not fronting. That's cool. I can do that. I can be that guy because that's who I'd rather be too. I don't have to act like I'm the hardest guy in the room all the time. I just know that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not always that, but I know that too, though. And so that's what I mean. It's allowed me to become pretty self-aware.
I don't think that the hardest guy in the room necessarily means the guy that'll win either.
That may be true.
I guess a dude can be hard.
It's one of those things too. I guess you'll know what you will do by knowing what you won't do.
Yeah.
So I've been in a lot of situations and found out what I will and won't do in certain situations. And I think I'm finding out. I think I'm really finding out who I think I am, and obviously that's that weird thing. But I guess it's that really weird existential crisis that a lot of people go through. 30-something, lost my first, not lost, but moved out of my first big dream career, retired from fighting or whatever. Thought that was the worst thing ever, and now it's oh, actually that was just a part of the path. There's a lot more to me than just being an MMA fighter. And for many, many years, that was the only thing that I was to myself, much less to other people. That was the only thing that I had that brought value to anyone, was how good or whatever I fought in winning or not winning fights. And so I really put a lot of self-worth and self-value in the results of competition, especially of MMA fights and stuff when I was doing that. And now I think with the benefit of being older and being more experienced and being around more wise guys that have seen things and experienced things, I realize that, that's not where my self-worth lies. It's not in competition. It can be in competition because I enjoy competing. That's part of what I identify as something that I like about myself. I like that I'm a competitor. I like that I'm tough. But I don't like that to be the only thing that people know about me. I'm a lot more than that. I'm a lot more than this tough-ass MMA fighter with all the scars or whatever and the cauliflower ears. And, not that people are afraid of me, but there's no reason to be afraid of me because of the way that I look or because of anything that I've done before. And I, realizing that about myself, I realize that about other people. And so it's that whole, really deep thing that the lesson keeps presenting itself until it's learned. one way or the other, either harder or softer. The lesson's going to keep coming back until it's learned. And for myself, I just see that over and over and over. Things keep coming up. You know, it's that whole thing like, oh, you want patience? Well, you're not going to give you patience. I'm going to give you opportunities to learn how to be patient. You want to be successful. I'm not going to give you success. I'm going to present you with opportunities to try to be successful. How will you act? And I've ran from those opportunities a lot of times, and I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm just not going to do it anymore. I'm just going to embrace it, and if I failed, I'm going to fail greatly, and it's going to be right on my face, right in front of everybody, and I'm going to brush it off, and I'm going to jump right face first into the next thing and hope that that's a pool or the ocean in Costa Rica.
Yeah, there's you a great little plug right there.
I mean, that thing's going down, man. I'm not even really worried about plugging it anymore.
No, I'm excited. I'm excited about it.
It's going down. We're going to Costa Rica in October, man, and it's going to be great. Me, and I guess I'm going to say now, the other instructors are going to be Lindsay McCatherine and Brandon McCatherine. They're going to be coming down with me. We don't know exactly how the teaching structure is going to be, but that's going to be the 3 black belts that are teaching: myself, Lindsay McCatherine, and Brandon McCatherine. So if you didn't get in, I'm sorry. I tried to tell you. And if you wanted to get in now, you better hope somebody drops out. You can like jump into a waiting list that we have or something, so you can maybe, you know, hit me up on social media or something. And if somebody happens to fall out and we have some space, I can get you in. But honestly, I'm not even bullshitting with you about that. I don't care if you get in or not at this point, and I'm not trying to be mean. I just don't want to stress out about it anymore, because I stressed out about it for a lot, trying to figure out space for
Making
everybody.
it happen.
I wanted everybody to get to come. And I was going to spend more money than I was going to make it happen, and then maybe make it a bad experience to have all these extra people come just because I wanted people to come that said they could come. And so I had to cap it. And people are like, ha, ha, ha. Like it was like some kind of sales pitch thing. It's like, no, this is literally what I was told by people that I get advice from and consultations from. So that's what I'm going to do now. And so it's full, and it's paid for full. And if anybody drops out, we can let you buy their spot somehow. Maybe. So send me your information if you want to do that, and I'll reach out to you if that happens to open up for anyone. The first come, first serve kind of deal on that too. But I'm really hyped on that. What I'm really hyped on now is getting ready to get back to the gym, back to my students, back to the work that I think we're doing here, which I think is great. Especially now going through our first tournament as a team, the new breed that we did. I'm not sure if I've talked about that at all, but you know, of the people we took, only one person didn't medal, and the person that didn't medal, in my opinion, made me the most proud because they showed such an advanced game but didn't really get to score points and lost on points. The guys that won medals, obviously, is really, you know, is proud, obviously, for that too. But the guy that shoots the shot and you know, again,
just steps up.
They miss. They shoot and they miss, and they aim, you know, for the stars and miss, but that's okay. They shot as far as they possibly could. And I was super proud of him, Garrett, for doing that, you know, because I asked him to after the first match. It would have been easy to climb up and not do it again. And so he did it again in the second match, and like had guys on the run with some really like high level stuff. And that makes me so proud to see that. I've seen people like Jimmy's guy, Jay, at the last Mid-South we did, hit a twister on a guy. So I've already, like, that's the kind of
first
stuff
twister in the Mid-South.
That makes me so excited, man, to see that stuff spreading out from me. That's where I'm at now. It's not about me anymore. I think I love doing it for me, and I will do as much as I can of it for me. But I'm really excited about the future for everybody else now, and the ways that all the experience I've had and the hard-earned, hard-fought stuff that I've got, I can share with everybody else now, and they don't have to fight as hard as I did to get to here, you know, because this isn't that far for most people. You can get here pretty easy.
I think that's showing a lot of people. And we've been at this for like an hour and 20 minutes.
I like to talk.
I see that, and I think that there's a lot of good stuff to talk about.
Is there anything else to say?
I don't think
to
there's.
that? Okay.
I mean, I think that you've covered a lot of the first initial reaction to it.
It's hype. I'm hyped.
Yeah.
There's gonna be so much philosophy and stuff I can talk about off each match and show and stuff. So, yeah. Stay tuned. We're going to drop our show. I'll let you talk
Saturdays.
about that.
Yeah, that's like for our content, for the people that are here on YouTube, the people that like follow you on Facebook. The people that follow you on Facebook, the people that follow you on Instagram, stuff like that. We're going to drop things on Saturday. From what I understand, the way they're dropping, they're starting on March 5th. And
Friday nights.
Yeah. So when they drop it on Friday night, we'll drop our content on Saturday mornings, and we'll probably be hitting here doing a live show either on Saturday or Monday, something.
Yeah.
We're gonna try to get guys in here and stuff like that. So everybody follow and subscribe.
Also, really quick heads up on that, March 5th and 6th, that's the weekend my sister is getting married, so I won't be as active on the like pre-shows or like watch party stuff as I would be normally. It just happened to fall that way. Unfortunately, that's the premiere weekend, but after that, I may be down to do some watch party stuff with people somewhere or whatever. If anybody's interested in that, like we can get on one of those like chat things or something, and
we'll start coordinating some of that.
We'll figure out some stuff like that if it's a thing to do, and see how it goes, because I really like to get most of the views to their stream obviously at one time and not steal stuff from them. But I do want to like talk about what happened as soon as I can.
We'll probably do that'll be the day after. Like that'll be a podcast in here doing the day after where people can come in, ask you questions. We'll call some of the other fighters. Maybe some of the guys will come into town, that type stuff.
Yeah, y'all come train with me.
Come hang out.
Yeah, we'll train, and you can or cannot beat me up again.
It's cool. We'll live stream it.
Cool. Hey, thank you guys so much. Parkway Automotive Studios, Works Bookkeeping Services. They're in the middle of the hustle right now, but dude, they've helped us out so much with a lot of stuff for the business and the school. Circle W Farms. Thank you for you guys' continuous support with everything. Isaac, obviously, man, thank you for helping like document all this stuff from a personal standpoint. I think it's gonna be very interesting, but I don't want to sound like some kind of like egomaniac, but I think I'm pretty cool, and I think I got some cool stuff coming up, so y'all need to stay tuned to us.
Cool deal.